All right, let's go on to the A's news. We're going to start this off with a little, everybody knows this, but it's a little sad, but we'll start somber and then we'll pick it back up. Ray Fosse has been fighting cancer for 16 years, which almost nobody knew about, which is pretty crazy to hear that. So last week, randomly, it was announced, I think like 2 hours before the game too. And he had been out of the booth for about a week then. Dallas was on vacation. So, different people were filling in. Dontrell Willis did a few games. Shooty Babbitt did a few games. And it was kind of weird. Everybody was kind of wondering what was going on. And we were like, oh, maybe they just overlap vacation days. And then Dallas comes back and they drop this bomb that his cancer's gotten a little too much for him, and he can't broadcast games anymore. So he stepped away and he's retired. So it's pretty sad under these circumstances. I think, Julio, we all kind of saw this coming though. Yeah, I don't know if necessarily, like Dallas and Glenn and the producers knew about it, but I think the A's definitely knew about it because for the past 16 years, they've been bringing in guys to be like the third broadcaster. It started with Scott Hatteberg, who was great. But he got a job in the front office and, that kind of took priority. And then Eric Chavez came in, who I didn't think was very good. And Shooty's done some games, and Mark Mulder came in. He did pretty good. But they've been kind of circling in these guys, and it all kind of like pointed to like, oh, maybe Ray's retiring soon. And eventually they landed on Dallas, and Dallas is amazing. So he's their full-time guy now. But it kind of all makes sense now. Like, that's when the cancer hit. So he probably let the A's know, like, hey, I don't have much time left. Like, let's find a replacement. But yeah, it's pretty sad. Guy's a future Hall of Famer, and
it's pretty horrible. And I think for us, I think for millennials, Gen X people, you're more or less raised in baseball by Fosse. He's been doing there's footage of him at the 89 World Series being kind of like the MC of the night, of the parade. So like, the guy's been more or less helped raise us in baseball. So it's awful. It's so sad. We're, we got to be optimistic about it. The guy, and look, it makes sense that he's hidden this for so long because like he's a catcher. The guy's been through in his professional playing career. The guy's been through so much. He could have been a Hall of Fame player if Pete Rose didn't truck him at home. Obviously that changed the trajectory of everything because he ended up in Oakland and he helped win a World Series. So did 374, but like, it's like what could have been with this playing career, but it's horrible. It's sad. I don't even want to think about or talk about like, oh, who's going to come and fill in kind of thing. Cause it's just like, I just want to respect the, kind of go what we have going on now, even though it was pretty sad. I was getting sad today watching the game because, 17-0 kicked the crap out of Cleveland. And there was multiple times where I could have just heard Fosse just going like, just like laughing of like hitting Mitch Moreland, just hitting a couple bombs and seeing his whole team getting washed by his team that really adopted him in the A's. But it's going to be tough to not have him in the broadcast because I think on top of just like, his unnecessary addiction to sweets and just constantly having to have some eclairs and
Glenn constantly making fun of him for his addiction to sweets. Yeah,
and just always bringing in talking about the Junior Mints minis and his Dippin' Dots and all that. It's just the history, the stories that come out of him because that guy's seen everything over he's been around professional baseball for 50 plus years. So he's seen some shit. And that's something I think we're going to be missing for a while with the current broadcast. I think with radio will be fine. As long as Korak's going to be pushing that, you're going to be hearing all the stories, all the kind of old anecdotes through that broadcast. But with TV play-by-play, I think we're going to be seeing some struggling a little bit. And you just got to feel for, obviously, Ray's family, everybody, they're on our thoughts. But just poor Glenn Kuiper, man. His brother's battling cancer.
Shayna Rubin did a profile on him recently. I didn't read it, but because I don't have San Jose Mercury subscription. But she talked with him about how his brother has cancer and now his partner of 20 years has cancer and how it's like kind of affecting his life and stuff like that. So it's pretty crazy to think about it that way. I mean, look, I know you don't want to talk about it, but I will because I like talking about these things. Yesterday or 2 days ago on the broadcast, they showed Dallas's old chair down by behind the plate, and they showed that all of his stuff is gone. So I think that's a sign that Ray's stepped away for good. And Dallas is going to be up in the booth, which I like those two together. I mean, you brought it to my attention yesterday. I was pretty shocked by that people don't like Dallas. This is news to me. I love Dallas. Everything about Dallas is his flair, his vibrance. But it's going to get some getting used to. It doesn't quite have the chemistry that Ray and Glenn did, but yeah, it's just back to Fosse itself. It's just a bummer. It's a bummer. And I hope that if cancer gets bad, I would hope that Major League Baseball would induct him, give him the Arthur P. Frick Award before he passes, so that he could be alive to see himself go into the Hall of Fame, because he will. It's likely going to happen. He's been a broadcaster for 40 years. It's typically how it goes. Put in your dues.
Yeah, it's Ray. You're not listening, but he's with our thoughts. It's just, a lot of burden, a lot of pressure on this team. They got to win for Ray, got to win for Dick Callahan, Steve Vucevic's final year. It's really just a massive changing of the guard in Oakland in terms of kind of these back of house guys who've been a part of this organization for so long. So yeah, let's go win for those guys, boys. All right, let's get some more sad news. Ramon Laureano suspended for 80 games.
I was gonna say, like, Julio, are you gonna go positive? You're gonna push that one down the rundown and go positive, and then go negative again, or should we just go negative?
Let's step on your throats, everybody. Ramon Laureano suspended for 80 games without pay for testing positive for an nandrolone. I butcher the name, but it's a performance-enhancing substance, a violation of Major League Baseball's Joint Drug Prevention and Treatment Program. Suspension starts immediately. He will miss the rest of the season. If the A's do make the postseason, he will not be playing in the postseason. And he probably won't be back until I don't have the math in front of me. I don't have the numbers in front of me. But it looks like he's not going to be back until at least May, June of next year.
What is he doing, man? What better off? What is the training staff in Oakland doing? Because this is two guys in the past 3 years that this has been an issue with. Frankie Montas a few years ago.
Bartolo, not recent, but Bartolo Colon too.
2012,
13,
yeah.
12.
But I'm just mean, like, as of recent, like, what the fuck is the training staff doing? You don't know what these guys are doing with their bodies. Like, why aren't they talking with their personal trainers? Like, why aren't they like testing them for these things in house before they go and do? I just, like, what the fuck is going on, man? Like, this is a major blow to this team. And look, thank fucking God we made the moves that we did for Starling Marte and Josh Harrison. Otherwise we'd be fucked right now. But what the fuck is going on? We'll show the results of the polls later, but I put out a poll with Ramon gone. How should the outfield go? Should it be Canna in left and Harrison, or Prescotti in right, or should it be Harrison in left, Canna in right? It looks like Harrison and Kemp have kind of been splitting time in left field. Harrison can play right, but he doesn't have as strong an arm as Canna does, so Canna will probably play more right field. And look, they've been figuring it out, and Josh Harrison and Tony Kemp have been playing amazing out there in the outfield. They've been hitting pretty well as well. Seth Brown has been playing really well. He had a nice home run yesterday. So they've been figuring it out, but I just don't know if this is sustainable for the playoffs. Like, he was our second best player, arguably our second best player on this team, and he's out. I know Julio doesn't feel the same way. But Julio's always trying to like play like you're going to touch on this right now probably, but you're always kind of playing the look on the bright side type of like mode. But I don't see. couldn't see much bright side to this when it happened that day. There just wasn't. I was just fucking pissed.
On the bright side, Chris, Chad Pinder is going to be starting rehab within the next week or so.
That's good to hear.
Hopefully, I don't think his bat's going to replace Ramon's. He hasn't been, to me. And I was trying to talk you through this, but we were just so angry in the moment that I think there are going to be some guys that will be comparable combined to kind of replace Ramon in that sense. I think Josh Harrison's bat will probably be just as good, if not better than Ramon's. If Pinder will be back by the end of the month, early September, I think having that arm in the outfield will be really helpful as well. But it just sucks. I think you lost a little bit of fire with this team. It was pretty funny. I had I was wearing my A starters jacket throughout the weekend in the Bay Area. And when I was in San Francisco, I got like 10 compliments that night when I was wearing the jacket. It was fantastic.
That jacket is dope, dude.
I love that jacket.
Yeah.
Shout out to Roswell Flea Market for that come up. But two, some guy was like, dude, what the hell's going on with Ramon? Why did he get suspended? And I joked, I'm like, well, we know why he was so angry all the time, because he was roid raging. It's just all roid raged out. The guy was that's why he was just always mad. But yeah, look,
that makes so much sense.
Yeah, but like real talk, I think that makes me feel a little bit more optimistic. Is unfortunately, this team has had to go through this before, and that they're very much. I think Bomel does a really good job of the next man up mentality, where it's like, cool, he's going to be out, but it's like we're going to have. And look, he's been out for a week now, and they haven't lost a game since then. Not saying that like, oh look, they can still do without him, but it's like they can still find ways to produce without like one of their best players. But it sucks. At the end of the day, it sucks. I think they're still going to be a contending. They look like a freaking contender right now, but I believe this team's still even without him right now.
So, look, Piscotty and Brown, it is what it is. They've been about the same, hitting around 200. But Josh Harrison, when we got him, he was hitting 294. He's still hitting 294, and he's gotten a lot of at bats. That's a good sign. Tony Kemp hitting 255, and he's still diving all over the field, making plays. We don't have to worry about center. Obviously, we got Starlin Marte hitting 326, and he's starting to get used to the ground out there in Oakland. You could tell. So he's playing a lot better. We'll be fine. I'm just worried about the main worry to me was about the playoffs and how that lineup is going to handle itself without him. But on the bright side, it seems to be doing fine. So Julio, at that note, we got a nice little win streak going. But we could use some more arms in the bullpen. AJ Puck has just been called up.
Oh, look at that. Puck, yeah. And he's looked awesome. He's looked so good in his, it's only been 2 outings, but he looks like a completely different guy from
dude,
we saw this.
He deserves it. In Las Vegas, he was killing it. He was absolutely killing it. I forgot. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I want to say it was like 19 innings and only 6 hits allowed. Like he deserves to be called up. Yeah.
And actually, shout out to our dude, Mr. Alex Espinoza, Rick Anderson of Blogs. He put out a pretty solid video of comparing his arm angle to the beginning of the year when he was pitching a little bit. I think he pitched like that first series against the Dodgers, compared to his arm angle now. And he's actually dropped his arm angle a couple inches, like a pretty significant margin if you seeing the videos side by side or overlapped with each other. So it's like he's really getting the most out of every single pitch out there. And he just looks so effortless. His first, I wonder if it's
better on his elbow.
I'm not a kinesiologist or anything like that, but it probably is, I'd imagine. You just, for somebody that tall, just the amount of pressure that was going into that on his shoulder too, if you think about it. Yeah. But his first 3 pitches out of the pen was like 97, 98, 98. And then he throws in his slider at 85. if that guy can hit, if he can pitch like this, and that's the biggest if, because we saw what him and Luzardo initially did when they were called up in end of August a couple years ago, and we're like, oh man, but they were kind of, he was a little more inconsistent. Luzardo was kind of the one who's more even keel. But if he can hold that up in that bullpen, where I think one of the biggest things we can both agree on this they've been lacking is just velocity back there. The hardest throwing guy is Diekman, and he's still having some issues, at least with control. He's been better as of late, but that's still his big thing. Man, this could be a major boost, and it kind of explains why they didn't make another arm move.
Yeah. On that note, someone did have to go down. Unfortunately, they designated JB Wendelken for assignment. I have been following this, Julio. Didn't someone pick him up?
Yes, but before we talk about it, Jeffrey Benjamin Wendelken, 2016 to 2021, career ERA 3.62. He pitched in 95 games. JP, your gift card to Mr. Pickles is on the way. I just had Mr. Pickles for the first time in forever last weekend, and I forgot how bomb it is. But yeah, he got picked up by the Diamondbacks, aka the junior A's, because over the last year, they've signed Stephen Vogt, Josh Reddick, who also got DFA'd and nobody picked up. He's a free agent. Jordan Weems, and now JP Wendelken. And then they signed Juan Soria, and now he's in Toronto. But look, somebody was going to pick him up. There was no way he was going to make it back to the minors. I wish it was somewhere where he can be in a contending team, really show us stuff, but maybe playing for a kind of no pressure situation like Arizona, where they're like one of the worst teams in baseball. I think it'll be a better thing for him, especially if he can just go in there, easily slide into that closer role. Because look, we've seen what he can do. He's a really solid reliever. Just this year, injury issues, just didn't have it. And when you have a lot of these arms in the pen that have their roles, a lot of people are kind of saying like, oh, it should have been Birch Smith, but like Birch Smith eats inning, Dalvis Guerrero eats innings, and everybody else has been pretty rock solid. There just wasn't room for him.
Yeah, I was surprised that it was him when I looked at it, but then when I saw you tweet that about what Birch has done, like eating innings and stuff like that, it makes a lot of sense. But to think that he was like one of the key members of our bullpen last year in 2019 and to this now, like, is a shock. I mean, he got DFA'd. There's no way that a contending team was going to get him if he got DFA'd. It's not possible. But yeah, I mean, interesting move, but I'm happy with it because of how well Puck has been pitching. So, and we've been wanting to see AJ Puck for 2 years now, and for him, if he's a key bullpen member of a playoff team and he comes in key moments in the playoffs, like, I think I'd rather have him than Wendelken, to be honest with you. So, it is what it is. On that note, Nick Allen returns from the Olympics. He will be joining AAA Vegas, as well as Khris Davis, which we covered last week. We all know that. And Julio, you went to your first game in 3 years. How was it? You're muted.
It was lit. It was a good time. Yeah. The game.
I heard it was a snooze until literally the last pitch of the game.
The game was boring as hell, for real. But hey, you know what? Like Coliseum, there's a reason they call it the last dive bar in baseball, and it was just such a good time. Posted up in Bart parking lot, tailgated there, just Panama Modelo's. Quick rundown of the crew. We had Mr. Tony P, Nick and Shay, my good friend Mr. Lewis Connect, and then rolling up in their own vehicle, we had Jose, Sierra, Michael Santa Maria, and then our good friend, former guest on the pod. We got to bring it back sometime, Mason Livingston. And we didn't even go to our seats. We were just at the treehouse the whole time, and we just had the standing seats there.
Treehouse is back open. The treehouse is, when that place is open, it's fucking smacking.
Dude, I was like, there was multiple times because Tony and Nick and Trey, they weren't really paying attention. They're like, yo, I forgot we're at a baseball game. I felt like we were just at a brewery right now. And I'm like, oh yeah. But also because the game was so boring. And that was when Mike Fonkenevitz just has the A's number. But it was great. My first game in 3 years. It was cool just kind of talking shop with random fans and just telling people, spreading the word of the pod. So if you're listening to the pod because of me talking to you about it, hey, appreciate you, man or woman. Appreciate you.
Were you doing heavy marketing at the game?
As much as I could. Not too. Yeah, when I was talking to people, it's like, oh yeah, that, it was funny that there was one guy I had an interaction with where I was telling him, I was like, yeah, man, this is my first game in Oakland in 3 years. He's like, you're an A's fan. He's trying to be like all of it. And he's like, you're an A's fan. You haven't been to a game in 3 years. What kind of fan are you? I'm like, well, I didn't get to go to the home opener 2 years ago because I was in Japan for the exhibition game for the A's. And he was like, oh, that's fucking tight. Never mind.
Yeah, you should be like, well, I'm I'm as hardcore as it comes. I went all the way to Japan to watch them play.
Yeah, and I tell them like, yo, I try to go at least watch them like a year when they're down here for the Anaheim series. But yeah, it was great. The place is a total dump, but it's our dump. So yeah, I missed the treehouse. I want to go to a game soon and watch a game there. There's been many games there where we just we buy bleacher tickets and we just hang out in the treehouse the entire time. And just like, especially during like college football time when there's just like football on all day too, it can be distracting sometimes. Just reminded me. Yeah. The game was, we're in the treehouse while the gold medal game is going on for USA basketball. So as soon as the clock expired and the game ended, Lewis and I just got the crowd chanting, USA!
That's USA! Right. That's right.
Real quick before we end this,
I forgot you were there during USA.
It was tight. It was lit. And then Draymond Green is talking shit to everyone. Khris Davis, do you think we're going to see him? Is he going to be called up in September?
I think why not? Yeah.
Okay, that's all. That's all. Just out of your own opinion. I think so too. Spot. But cool.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and we will be right back. We're going to talk about some keys. Me and Julio think a few keys to continued success for the remainder of the season in order to make that final last playoff push, hopefully for the division rather than the wild card. So keys to what the team needs to do in order to be successful and get to the playoffs. So stick around and we'll be right back.